Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to introduce you to our presentation titled Masonic Audiobook Library. This is our entry point into the intriguing world of Freemasonry. Together, we'll explore the secrets, traditions, and brotherhood that define this historic society. Over the course of this presentation, I'll guide you through its mysteries and share insights into what makes the Masonic world so fascinating. So, let's dive in and uncover these hidden stories together. Let's start by exploring what Freemasonry is and its place in history. This slide provides an overview of the key aspects we'll be discussing today. First, we'll look at the historical context, how Freemasonry evolved over centuries and the roots it has in different cultures. Then, we'll examine membership and initiation, which are central to understanding how one becomes a part of this fraternity. Next, we'll dive into the symbols and rituals. These are often what people most associate with Freemasonry, and they carry deep meaning. We'll also touch on the organization's charitable work and community involvement, highlighting its contributions beyond the lodge. Of course, there are many myths and conspiracy theories surrounding Freemasonry, some of which have persisted for generations. We'll clarify what's fact and what's fiction. Additionally, we'll look at what a typical Masonic meeting looks like, giving a sense of the traditions in practice. And finally, we'll consider what modern Freemasonry looks like today, how it has adapted to the contemporary world while maintaining its core principles. All these points tie together to give a comprehensive picture of this intriguing and often misunderstood fraternity. Welcome to the next part of our journey, an introduction to Freemasonry. Freemasonry is one of the world's oldest and most well-known fraternal organizations, with roots that go back hundreds of years. It's often surrounded by mystery, but at its core, it's about brotherhood, moral development, and community service. Members come from diverse backgrounds, but they're united by shared values and a commitment to personal growth. Freemasonry emphasizes principles like integrity, charity, and truth, which are woven into its teachings and rituals. Understanding these core ideas helps us see how Freemasonry fits into the larger picture of social and moral development. So, as we explore this organization further, keep in mind that it's not just about secret rituals, but about fostering better individuals and, ultimately, a better society. Let's take a moment to understand what Freemasonry really is. At its core, it's a fraternal organization that promotes moral and ethical values, but it does so through symbolic rituals that have been part of its tradition for centuries. Now, these values, things like integrity, charity, and brotherhood, are woven into its very foundation. Freemasonry actually dates back to the late 1500s and early 1600s, evolving from the craft guilds of medieval Europe, particularly those of stonemasons. These guilds were not just about building. They carried symbolic meaning related to enlightenment and moral philosophy. Over time, they transformed into a broader organization focused on personal development, community service, and fostering a sense of brotherhood among men from all walks of life. When we talk about its key principles, we're referring to the ideas that guide every Freemason. Brotherhood, which emphasizes fellowship and mutual support; charity, a commitment to helping others; integrity, or doing what's right; and the pursuit of knowledge, which encourages continual learning and growth. Members engage in rituals and use symbols to internalize these values, not just as abstract ideas, but as practical guides for their lives. Ultimately, Freemasonry is about personal growth and making a positive impact on the community, all while building lifelong bonds with others. It's a tradition that connects people through shared values and a common quest for moral and spiritual betterment. Now, let's take a closer look at the structure of Freemasonry. At its core, the basic building blocks are the Masonic Lodges. These lodges are essentially local communities where members come together regularly for meetings, rituals, and community service projects. Each lodge is guided by a specific charter and is committed to upholding the core principles of Freemasonry, such as fellowship, moral growth, and mutual support. Think of these lodges as the heart of the organization, where members build bonds and work on self-improvement. Moving beyond the individual lodges, Freemasonry has a clear organizational hierarchy. This starts with the local lodges we just discussed, then extends to regional districts, and ultimately to national Grand Lodges. Each level has its own roles and responsibilities, but they all work together to promote unity and ensure that traditions and rituals are preserved. This layered structure helps maintain consistency and a sense of shared purpose across the entire organization. Now, an important aspect of Freemasonry is its dual nature of inclusion and exclusivity. On one hand, it welcomes members who are genuinely interested in moral development and fellowship. On the other hand, it maintains strict membership criteria to ensure that those who join are committed and aligned with its values. This creates a somewhat selective environment, fostering deep connections among initiated members, while also making the organization somewhat inaccessible to outsiders. This balance helps preserve the integrity and confidentiality of Masonic traditions. So, when we look at the overall picture, the structure of Freemasonry is designed to foster a close-knit community rooted in shared principles, with a hierarchical system that promotes continuity and tradition. It's this structure that helps sustain its enduring influence and unique character within the broader landscape of fraternal organizations. Let's take a moment to look at the historical context behind this topic. Understanding where things began helps us see how they've evolved over time. Historically, many of the concepts we're discussing today have roots that go back decades, even centuries, shaping the way we approach current challenges. For example, early innovations laid the groundwork for modern solutions, and shifts in societal attitudes often influenced technological progress. Recognizing these historical patterns allows us to appreciate the progress made and understand the barriers that still exist. It's essential to see how past events and decisions connect to our current landscape, as they inform the strategies and insights we'll explore throughout this presentation. So, by understanding this background, we can better grasp the significance of what's happening now and what future developments might look like. Now, let's explore how Freemasonry evolved from its roots in medieval stonemasonry. Medieval guilds were essential in shaping early Freemasonry. They were associations of craftsmen who regulated trade practices, maintained quality standards, and offered mutual support. These guilds provided the organizational backbone and moral framework that early Freemasons would adopt and adapt. As time went on, this shift from a trade guild to a fraternity marked a significant transformation. It opened the doors to a more diverse membership beyond just craftsmen, emphasizing moral and philosophical teachings. This transition fostered a true brotherhood, one that went beyond mere craftsmanship and focused on shared values and ideals. Furthermore, the influence of these medieval guilds extended into modern organizations. The principles of brotherhood, networking, and ethical conduct that originated in these guilds continue to resonate today. They have shaped contemporary associations, encouraging collaboration, community service, and engagement across various sectors like business and philanthropy. So, in essence, the evolution from medieval stonemasonry to a social fraternity laid the foundation for what Freemasonry is today, an organization built on the pillars of brotherhood, moral development, and community involvement. Now, let's take a moment to look at some of the most notable Freemasons in history, whose contributions have left a lasting mark on the world. First, we have George Washington. He's widely recognized as a key figure in American history, and he was a dedicated Freemason from 1752. His values of leadership, integrity, and community service weren't just words, they really shaped the founding of the United States. His involvement in Freemasonry helped reinforce the ideals of brotherhood and moral responsibility that are central to the craft, and his legacy continues to influence Masonic traditions today. Next, we have Benjamin Franklin. As one of the founding fathers, Franklin was also deeply involved in the Enlightenment movement. He valued brotherhood and ethical living, and he was an advocate for civic responsibility. Franklin's scientific pursuits and political achievements exemplify how Freemasonry promotes the pursuit of knowledge, freedom, and progress. His life shows how Freemasonry's principles can inspire real-world change and innovation. And beyond these two giants, history is filled with influential Freemasons like Winston Churchill, who helped shape modern politics, and Mozart, whose timeless music continues to inspire. Their stories demonstrate that Freemasonry's impact spans culture, governance, and philosophy across different eras and regions. Overall, these figures remind us that Freemasonry has historically been a space where leadership, creativity, and moral values come together to influence the world in profound ways. Now, let's take a closer look at membership and initiation, which is a crucial part of our process. When we talk about membership, we're referring to the way individuals become part of our organization. It's not just about signing up, it's about creating a meaningful connection and commitment. The initiation process plays a key role here, serving as a formal way to welcome new members and introduce them to our values, traditions, and expectations. This step helps ensure that everyone is aligned and understands their role within the group. It's also a moment to reinforce the importance of community and shared purpose. By emphasizing these points, we foster a sense of belonging and responsibility. Remember, the initiation isn't just a formality. It's a foundational moment that helps build trust and loyalty. Connecting this to our overall theme, it highlights how deliberate and thoughtful onboarding can strengthen our organization from the inside out. So, in essence, membership and initiation are about more than just bringing people in. They're about cultivating a committed, unified community. Becoming a Freemason is a process that involves more than just filling out an application. Typically, candidates are adult men who hold a belief in a higher power, which is a fundamental part of our principles. It's also important that they demonstrate sound moral character because Freemasonry emphasizes integrity and ethical conduct. Candidates usually need recommendations from current members who can vouch for their character and sincerity. Once they're considered, they must also understand what Masonic values stand for, things like brotherhood, moral uprightness, and personal growth, and be willing to commit to those ideals. When it comes to initiation, think of it as a symbolic journey from darkness to light. The rituals are designed not just as ceremonies, but as meaningful educational steps. They often involve oaths and gestures that symbolize the candidate's commitment to moral improvement and brotherhood. These rites reinforce the values we hold dear and help create a sense of belonging within the fraternity. Now, the journey through Freemasonry is structured around 3 main degrees: entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. Each of these represents a stage of moral and spiritual development. As you progress through each degree, you gain new insights, privileges, and responsibilities. It's about personal growth, learning lessons that help shape your character and deepen your understanding of Freemasonry's principles. So, in essence, becoming a Freemason is about more than just joining a fraternity. It's about embarking on a lifelong journey of moral and ethical development, guided by meaningful rituals and a shared commitment to brotherhood and personal excellence. Now, let's talk about the role of belief within Freemasonry. One of the core requirements is belief in a supreme being. This isn't just a formality. It reflects the organization's deep values of faith, moral integrity, and brotherhood that extend beyond borders and backgrounds. It emphasizes that members share a common spiritual foundation, which helps foster a sense of purpose and connection among us. Next, moral character is absolutely vital. Freemasonry places a strong emphasis on integrity, honesty, and respect for others. These qualities aren't just nice ideals, they're fundamental to building trust and unity within our community. They're what support the fraternal bonds that help us grow and progress in our journey. Finally, it's important to understand that belief in a supreme being in Freemasonry promotes a spiritual approach that goes beyond specific religious labels. While personal spiritual growth is encouraged, the organization doesn't endorse any particular religion. Instead, it invites diverse interpretations of belief, focusing on shared values rather than dogma. Overall, these principles underscore that Freemasonry is about uniting individuals through higher ideals, faith, morality, and brotherhood, creating a foundation that's both inclusive and deeply meaningful. Now, let's turn our attention to symbols and rituals, which are essential elements in many cultures and communities. These symbols, whether they're objects, gestures, or even colors, serve as powerful representations of shared values and beliefs. They help us quickly convey complex ideas and foster a sense of identity and belonging. Rituals, on the other hand, are the structured practices or ceremonies that reinforce those symbols and values. They create a sense of continuity and tradition, helping community members feel connected across generations. What's interesting is how both symbols and rituals work together to strengthen social bonds and communicate what's important to a group. For example, think of national flags or religious ceremonies. They're rich with symbols and rituals that evoke pride, faith, or unity. In the context of our overall theme, these elements are crucial because they shape how cultures express their core principles and maintain cohesion. They're not just superficial practices, they're the embodiment of a group's identity and history. So, understanding symbols and rituals gives us deeper insight into the heart of any culture or organizational identity. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the most recognizable symbols in Freemasonry and what they really represent. The square and compasses, for example, are more than just tools. They symbolize moral truths and ethical conduct. They remind us to live upright lives and uphold integrity in our actions. The letter G is also prominent. It stands for both God and geometry, emphasizing the importance of divine knowledge and the order of the universe. These symbols serve as visual tools that guide members toward self-improvement and enlightenment. Moving on, the role of symbols in Freemasonry is quite fundamental. They do more than just decorate. They convey moral lessons, encapsulate deep philosophical ideas, and help foster a sense of unity among members. Think of them as a visual language, complex ideas communicated through images that reinforce our shared values and rituals. This visual language helps us feel connected and gives us a clearer understanding of our spiritual and moral journey. Finally, when we interpret these symbols, we're encouraged to look beyond their surface. Each one, from the all-seeing eye to the square and compass, carries a deeper meaning. They challenge us to reflect on our personal growth, our integrity, and our pursuit of knowledge. In essence, these symbols are tools. They serve as constant reminders of our moral and philosophical path within the fraternity. Now, let's explore the role of rituals within Masonic culture. Rituals are more than just ceremonies. They serve as essential tools for teaching moral lessons and fostering a strong sense of community among members. They help create a structured environment that supports spiritual growth and reinforces core values like fraternity, charity, and integrity. These rituals help us connect on a deeper level and remind us of the principles that underpin our brotherhood. Next, it's important to understand the significance of secrecy and confidentiality in our rituals. These elements are fundamental because they build trust among members and foster a genuine sense of belonging. When we share these private experiences, it strengthens our bonds and encourages deeper connections. Additionally, maintaining confidentiality helps protect our traditions and teachings from external scrutiny, ensuring that what we hold sacred remains secure. Finally, the rituals are symbolic enactments of moral lessons. They teach virtues like integrity, charity, and community through meaningful symbolism. Each ritual carries deeper meanings, guiding us toward personal growth and ethical conduct. At the same time, they help create a shared sense of purpose and belonging within the brotherhood, uniting us through common values and traditions. Now, moving on to the next key area, philanthropy and community. This section highlights how our organization's efforts extend beyond just business goals to make a meaningful impact in the broader community. Philanthropy isn't just about donating money. It's about fostering genuine relationships and supporting causes that align with our values. By investing in community initiatives, we help create a more equitable and sustainable environment for everyone. This approach also reinforces our overall mission by showing that we're committed to giving back and building a better future. When we support local programs, educational opportunities, or health initiatives, we're planting seeds that benefit not only those directly involved, but also our own long-term growth. Ultimately, this slide reminds us that success isn't just measured by profits, but also by the positive influence we have on the communities we serve. It's about creating a legacy of generosity and shared prosperity that resonates well beyond our immediate sphere. Now, let's take a closer look at the charitable activities that Freemasons are involved in. As part of their philanthropic initiatives, they support a wide range of causes, including education, healthcare, and local community projects. For example, they fund scholarships to help students pursue their dreams, donate to hospitals to improve healthcare services, and organize outreach programs to reach those in need. These efforts really showcase their deep commitment to social welfare and making a positive difference in people's lives. Moving on to their financial contributions, it's clear that their charitable work has a significant impact. The funds they raise and allocate go toward vital initiatives like supporting schools, providing healthcare resources, and offering disaster relief in times of crisis. These contributions not only demonstrate their generosity, but also reflect core values of social responsibility and community support. And beyond just financial support, Freemasons are actively involved in community service. They volunteer their time and energy to support local schools, assist in healthcare initiatives, and aid disaster response efforts. This hands-on involvement fosters a strong sense of solidarity within their communities and highlights their dedication to improving lives through both giving money and giving time. Overall, these activities underscore a central theme of our presentation: that Freemasonry is rooted in the principle of service and giving back, truly embodying the spirit of philanthropy in many meaningful ways. Now, let's turn our attention to the Shriners, a distinguished part of Freemasonry that really exemplifies the spirit of charity and community service. They're best known for operating Shriners Hospitals for Children, which is a network of specialized healthcare facilities. What's truly remarkable is that these hospitals provide excellent medical care, regardless of a family's ability to pay, highlighting their deep commitment to giving back and making a real difference in kids' lives. The Shriners aren't just about healthcare, though. They also focus heavily on fostering fellowship and fun among their members through various community events. These social gatherings aren't just enjoyable. They serve a vital purpose by strengthening bonds and encouraging a spirit of camaraderie. Fundraising and social events are key to their philanthropic efforts. These activities help generate the funds necessary to support their charitable initiatives, especially in child health care. And through these efforts, the Shriners truly embody the core values of charity, community service, and brotherhood that run throughout the Masonic tradition. Overall, the Shriners serve as a shining example of how a fraternity can impact the community positively, combining service with fellowship to create lasting, meaningful change. Now, let's turn our attention to the fascinating world of myths and conspiracy theories. These stories often capture our imagination and can spread quickly, especially in today's digital age. One key point to remember is that many myths are rooted in misunderstandings or misinformation, but they can still influence public perception significantly. Conspiracy theories, on the other hand, tend to involve complex narratives that suggest hidden agendas behind major events or decisions. What's important to highlight here is how these myths and theories can sometimes distort reality, making it challenging to distinguish fact from fiction. As we've seen throughout this presentation, critical thinking and verifying sources are essential tools in navigating this landscape. Recognizing the appeal of these stories helps us understand why they persist, but it also underscores the importance of responsibility, whether we're sharing information or consuming it. By understanding the mechanics behind these myths and conspiracy theories, we can better address misinformation and foster a more informed, critical community. Remember, the goal isn't just to debunk, but to promote awareness and healthy skepticism. That's how we can keep our conversations rooted in truth and trust. Now, let's talk about some common misconceptions surrounding Freemasonry. Many people think of it as a secret society, which leads to the idea that it's entirely clandestine. But in reality, while Freemasonry does have confidential rituals and private discussions, it operates quite openly when it comes to its community involvement. Its focus is on fellowship, charity, and personal development, which are very much visible and accessible. So, the idea that it's purely secret is a bit of a misconception. Another widespread belief is that Freemasons control governments or secretly influence political decisions. This isn't accurate. Of course, some members might hold political positions, but the organization itself is dedicated to moral values, self-improvement, and community service, not orchestrating political plots behind the scenes. Then there are myths that portray Freemasonry as a shadowy organization with sinister motives. But again, that's not what it's about. It's mainly a fraternal group focused on moral growth and helping others. The secrecy around rituals can fuel conspiracy theories, but those are just misunderstandings. When we open up honest dialogue about what Freemasonry truly stands for, many of these myths can be dispelled. Overall, it's important to recognize that Freemasonry's true purpose is about moral development, community, and fellowship, rather than secret control or hidden agendas. Let's explore the origins of conspiracy theories about the Freemasons. These ideas often come from their secretive nature and the significant influence they've had throughout history. People tend to create stories around organizations like the Freemasons because of societal fears, misinformation, and a natural desire to make sense of complex events. This has led to narratives that link the Masons to hidden power structures and secret agendas, fueling suspicion and intrigue. Now, moving on to how these myths impact public perception. Such conspiracy theories tend to amplify fear and suspicion, which can distort how the public views the organization. Instead of understanding what Freemasonry truly stands for, these stories often marginalize them, creating misconceptions about their goals and practices. This, in turn, feeds into a cycle of mistrust and perpetuates the idea that there's always something hidden or sinister going on. So, how do we respond to these theories? Many of them stem from misunderstandings about what Freemasonry is really about. To counteract this, promoting transparency and education is key. By sharing accurate information about Masonic principles and encouraging critical thinking, we can help people distinguish between fact and fiction. Ultimately, clear communication and openness are essential in dispelling myths and fostering a more accurate understanding of the organization. Now, let's take a closer look at Masonic meetings and why they are such a vital part of the fraternity. These gatherings are more than just routine get-togethers. They are the heart of Masonic life. During these meetings, members come together to discuss lodge business, share insights, and participate in rituals that reinforce our values and traditions. They serve as a space for fellowship, mutual support, and personal growth. What's particularly important to understand is that these meetings are structured to promote a sense of brotherhood and trust among members. They help foster a strong sense of community, which is essential for the fraternity's enduring strength. Connecting this to the overall theme, Masonic meetings exemplify the commitment to moral development, community service, and lifelong learning. They are where the ideals we uphold are put into practice, and where bonds of brotherhood are strengthened through shared experiences and rituals. So, these gatherings are not just about tradition. They are a vital, living part of how Freemasonry continues to thrive and evolve. Now, let's take a closer look at how Masonic meetings are structured and the formalities involved. Typically, these meetings start with a very deliberate and respectful opening, setting a tone of decorum and focus. You'll notice that ritualistic prayers are a key part of this process, helping to create a sense of unity and solemnity. After that, there are usually announcements and discussions related to lodge matters, along with time dedicated to degree work, which is central to our traditions. It's important to understand that participation in these meetings follows specific protocols. These ensure that the environment remains respectful, confidential, and orderly, values that are at the core of Freemasonry. Moving on to the role of officers, these individuals are essential to guiding the meeting. The worshipful master, for instance, presides over the proceedings, ensuring everything runs smoothly. Supporting him are officers like the senior and junior wardens, who help maintain order and oversee the ritual work. Their roles reinforce the organizational structure, ensuring that each meeting follows a clear operational flow. Finally, the agenda of a typical meeting reflects this structure. It begins with opening rituals, then moves into reading the minutes, discussing lodge affairs, reviewing financial reports, and planning upcoming events. This formalized approach isn't just about order, it's about strengthening our hierarchy, fostering camaraderie, and preserving our long-standing traditions within the Freemason community. All of these elements work together to make our meetings meaningful, structured, and aligned with our shared values. Now, let's take a closer look at the topics of discussion within our fraternity. Neutral topics are really essential because they foster open dialogue and inclusivity among all members. By keeping our conversations centered on neutral subjects, we create a space where members from diverse backgrounds can engage comfortably without the risk of conflict. This approach not only promotes unity, but also helps strengthen the bonds of brotherhood and encourages mutual respect. These elements are vital for maintaining harmony and for moving forward together toward our collective goals. Moving on, it's important to understand the significance of avoiding certain sensitive topics, like religion and politics, during our meetings. Our primary focus is on harmony and brotherhood, so we intentionally steer clear of discussions that might lead to disagreements. This helps us stay focused on what truly unites us: mutual respect and personal growth. By doing so, we create a more inclusive environment where everyone feels valued, regardless of their individual beliefs or opinions. Lastly, the core values we emphasize are brotherhood and morality. Our discussions often revolve around ethical conduct, personal development, and mutual support. These topics reinforce the strong bonds we share and remind us of our responsibilities both within the fraternity and in the wider community. Emphasizing integrity and moral responsibility helps us grow as individuals and as a collective, ensuring that our actions reflect the principles we hold dear. In essence, these discussions, focused on neutrality, respect, and morality, are fundamental to fostering a positive, united, and morally grounded fraternity. They help us uphold our ideals and advance our shared purpose. Now, let's take a look at contemporary Freemasonry and see how it functions today. Modern Freemasonry continues to emphasize values like brotherhood, moral development, and community service. It's a diverse organization with members from all walks of life, united by shared principles rather than any specific religious or political beliefs. One key point is that Freemasonry today still uses symbolic rituals and allegories, which serve to teach moral lessons and promote personal growth. These rituals connect members across different regions and cultures, maintaining a sense of unity and tradition. It's also important to highlight that Freemasonry has adapted to the modern world by emphasizing charity work and social responsibility. Many lodges are actively involved in community projects, supporting education, healthcare, and humanitarian causes. Overall, contemporary Freemasonry remains true to its core ideals of self-improvement, moral integrity, and brotherhood, even as it evolves to stay relevant in today's society. This ongoing relevance helps reinforce its role as a positive influence in communities worldwide. As we look at the modern-day relevance of Freemasonry, it's clear that membership trends are quite dynamic. Traditional demographics are seeing a decline, but at the same time, we're attracting younger members who are interested in community, personal growth, and making a difference. This shift really underscores the importance for the organization to adapt to contemporary values if it wants to stay relevant in today's society. You'll notice that Freemasonry is evolving to keep pace with a fast-changing world. We're emphasizing inclusivity and societal contributions, which means modern lodges are finding new ways to engage younger generations and address current social issues. It's about balancing respect for tradition with the need to stay connected to modern communities. Looking ahead into the 21st century, Freemasonry is focused on community service, personal development, and fostering an inclusive environment. The core traditions remain, but they're now complemented by philanthropic efforts and a push for ethical leadership. All of this helps ensure that Freemasonry remains meaningful and relevant to a diverse and interconnected world, encouraging members to grow not just individually, but also as active contributors to society. As we come to the final slide, let's take a moment to reflect on Freemasonry's remarkable global presence. It's truly a worldwide fraternity, with millions of members spanning across countless countries. What makes this especially interesting is how Freemasonry fosters a sense of community and charity, regardless of where you are. At the same time, it's adaptable, shaping itself to fit different cultural contexts so it remains relevant and meaningful in today's society. This flexibility allows it to contribute positively, not only locally, but also on a global scale through humanitarian efforts. Now, if we look at how Freemasonry manifests around the world, you'll notice there are indeed cultural variations. These differences are influenced by regional traditions, local customs, and societal values. Despite these differences, the core principles, brotherhood, integrity, and charity, stay constant. This creates a vibrant, diverse tapestry of brotherhood that connects people beyond borders, emphasizing shared values while respecting unique identities. Finally, one of the most powerful aspects of modern Freemasonry is how it promotes international relations among lodges. These connections encourage collaboration on charitable projects and foster cultural exchange. Such global networks strengthen bonds across regions, enriching the fraternity's collective strength. And yet, through all this, the fraternity maintains its traditions and the element of secrecy that makes it unique. So, in essence, Freemasonry's global reach and cultural adaptability not only reinforce its timeless principles, but also help it stay vibrant and relevant in a rapidly interconnected world. And that brings us to the final slide, our Masonic audiobook library. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank you all for your time and attention throughout this presentation. I hope you found the content engaging and inspiring, and that it has sparked new ideas or insights for your own journey. Expressions of gratitude and appreciation are at the very heart of our shared experience, both in Masonry and in any learning endeavor. Recognizing the value of knowledge, fellowship, and personal growth helps us build stronger connections within our community. So, as we conclude, I encourage you to take what you've learned here and continue exploring, sharing, and growing, whether through audiobooks, discussions, or your own reflections. Thank you again for being part of this. Your dedication and curiosity truly make a difference.